Jasmine Jasovizzi is here. Don't forget to tap into the ARCE podcast.
The ARCE choke is a submission executed from the front headlock position. It involves encircling the opponent's neck with the crook of one's arm, while the other arm wraps around the opponent's arm, applying pressure, leading to a tap or unconsciousness.
Tap into the ARCE podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live for another episode of the ARCE podcast. I'm here for UFC Seattle, best bets and breakdowns with my guys, Mr. Plus Money, Slick Montana, who's back with us after a week off, and I got Cal on the ones and twos doing his thing behind the scenes. We are here for another week of the ARCE pod, coming off another good week. It's been a good start to 2025, guys. Slick report cashes with an Angela Hill split decision. Slick, 6 split decisions now for Angie Hill. I thought she lost that one, to be honest, but I had her too. How you feeling coming back, getting that win for the Slick report?
Yeah, man, definitely. Y'all read my mind. You know, thanks for taking. I just want to say thanks and appreciate you guys for holding it down for the ARCE podcast last week. If you was on the ARCE podcast last week, you made some money. And yeah, man, at the end of the day, y'all read my mind. Y'all already knew once I seen those odds, I was going to take Angela Hill at those odds. And man, I honestly thought she kind of lost too, but hey, man, I'm just happy they gave us the nod. At the end of the day, man, she deserves it for all the robberies that didn't go her way.
It was Sal D'Amato. Sal D'Amato's been paying us back. Reparations, I said. He owes us so much, Mr. Plus. I got a third straight underdog for the Brasco breakdown, so that's been cashing. And Mr. Plus, the main event of the evening, I know you cashed a ton of bets, but RoboCop ended up disappointing Jared Cannonier. I was questioning how much durability he had left. He gets dropped twice in the first round, comes back from unbelievable shots he took, and puts RoboCop away. I mean, what do you think of Cannonier and RoboCop now? What do you do with these guys in the middleweight?
I mean, I wish I would have taken Cannonier live. I usually don't even bet the UFC live. But you could see it after that first round. Gassing after the first round in a 5-round fight, that was disappointing to see RoboCop do that because he almost had him out in the first round. There was some moments there where he was putting it on him. But yeah, man, Cannonier, the killer gorilla. Oh man, this guy is the real deal. Him and Angela Hill both said black don't crack after the fight. That shit was hilarious. 41 years old, both of them getting dubs. And I don't think Angela Hill lost, bro. I had her 1-3, rounds 1 and 3 for sure. And yeah, we cashed another plus bust. That's 3 in a row. Yeah, man, looking to cash for you guys again today.
That's right, 3 straight plus busts too, because that's right. RoboCop spoiled the DARCE, but not the plus bust. So that's another plus bust too. How dare I forget? DARCE pod's been hot in 2025. So appreciate all you guys in the comments. James Lil Bro says, black don't crack. He knows it. That's the proverb, man. These proverbs are true. Shout out to Yvonne in the comments, Jeff, Dylan, all you guys. Let's get into this week's UFC Seattle card. Guys, I'm 3 in a row. 3 underdogs in a row? So I'm leading off. Put your hands together for the Brasco breakdown. That was...
Brasco's breakdown. Brasco's breakdown.
And this week, there we go. This week, I'm going with another underdog. We're hot. We keep rolling the dice, right? Red is hitting. You stay on red. I'm going with Andre Touchy Fili, one of the creepier nicknames in the UFC. But, man, I love this guy. On FanDuel, he's minus 108. On DraftKings, he's plus 100 right now. And I love him at that plus money price tag. Fili's a guy with so much UFC experience. He grew up in the UFC practically. And he's fought everyone at featherweight. I know his 12-10-1 UFC record is kind of ugly, but let me name some of his losses. Max Holloway, Yair Rodriguez, Calvin Kattar, Dan Ige. I mean, some tremendous fighters. Joe Anderson, Brito, power punchers, right? And he's fought, a lot of grizzled guys, all around skill set. So I like Andre Fili's ability to deal with Melquizael Costa here, who certainly dangerous. He's got long, rangy kicks on the feet. He's got, slick jiu-jitsu on the ground. But he's 2-2 in the UFC, and he's been finished in both of his losses. In his last fight, he got a rear naked choke win against Shailan Nurdambeke, but he was down the first 2 rounds. He dropped them both, got the comeback submission win, so props to him for that. But I feel like this is a step up in competition that he should not be the favorite for. Fili's seen it all. So I think he's still got the durability there. He's been starched by some people like Dan 50K Ige, but he showed he's still there. He came back, got a hard-fought split decision win over Cub Swanson in his last fight. Cub still tricky as ever, the veteran. So I was impressed by that win. I think Fili can wrestle Costa and keep him pinned on the mat. We saw Nurmabeke out-grappled him for 2 rounds. Why can't Fili do that? Plus 100? I'm going Andre Touchy Fili. 2 units there. I don't think the line is right. Mr. Plus, let me get your thoughts, man. What do you think about the plus money tag on Andre Fili?
Give me that plus money. Touchy Fili plus money against Costa? I don't think so. 2-2 in the UFC. I think it's a levels check all day. And yeah, Andre Touchy Fili is the guy in this fight that should get his hand raised at the end of the day. Just fighting way better competition over the course of his career. And like you said, he's got so much UFC experience versus a 2-2 Costa in the UFC. And again, he could have been 1-3, right? So I got to side with you. I like the plus money. I don't really understand how Costa's a favorite here. Maybe some money came in on him early. I don't know. We'll have to wait till fight day. I got a feeling you guys should lock that one in now because Touchy Fili might end up being minus 125 by the time this fight drops.
Similar to Angela Hill, she was plus 100. She closed like minus 115, kind of the slight favorite, and then that all made sense in the end. Slick, what do you make of the odds here? Do you think they're correct?
I honestly was really weird when was really shocked when I seen these odds. Like, I honestly thought Andre Fili was going to be, no lie, like probably like a minus 180, minus 190, minus 200 favorite. And this is just the opportunity that Andre Fili has been looking for his past couple fights. Like you could argue that his last 8 fights, he has had the striking disadvantage. Like other guys like Brito had power against him. Other guys like Cub Swanson had more fluidity with their strikes against him. Dan Ige, who had more power against him. And now he's actually going to get a guy that, me personally, I'm just not a huge fan of Costa. He throws good body kicks, throws good kicks to all levels. But the one concern about him is just the damage that he gets taken. Like, the guy gets damage taken like no tomorrow. And me personally, I understand Steve Garcia and whatchamacallit, those guys are just looking like they are another level right now. But I just think Andre Fili, this is, like you said, this could be a level check in this fight. Andre Fili has good grappling defense. I think Costa, me personally, if I think Costa was more of a wrestler in this fight, I would lean Costa. But Costa is an opportunistic sub guy. If he gets the opportunity to take it back, he's going to take it. I think Andre Fili is just too experienced to get rear naked choked right now by a guy like Costa in his career. If it happens, hey, take my money. But at plus money, I got to lean Fili in this spot.
100%. That's a great way of looking at it too. Like, what's his win condition? Ask yourself when you look at the fight, like, how does he win? And if it's by lacing up a random sub, then why is he the favorite, right? He needs that moment to find it. Fili's going to win the minutes. Fili can mix his game up, like Hal says in the chat here. He thinks it's a level check too, and I think Fili can get it done. By the way, Cal's producer play also hit Jacqueline Cavalcante by decision, but he says he missed her over significant strikes by over 73.5. She had 73. That's unreal. That's a crazy bad beat. All right, moving forward, we all like Andre Fili. Gotta love that. So next up, let's put a few fighters together. Let's all jump aboard the Mr. Plus Parlay Bus.
Mr. Plus, Parlay Bus, bet it all in trust. Jabs and hooks, it's all about the rush. Put it down on the underdog, never hush. Odds stack high, feel the thrill, that's a must. And I'll see you when that shit cashes.
Mr. Plus, what do we got this week, my guy?
Let's cash 4 in a row. It's time to jump back on the Mr. Plus Parlay Bus. Was leading it off with I thought it was the first fight of the night, but I think now we're leading it off with the second fight of the night. Modestas Bukauskas. I kind of like this guy, and I've always liked him. He's a great stand-up kickboxer. He's got skills. He'll take the fight where it needs to be, in the clinch, keeping his distance when it needs to, and he's a decision guy too. So not necessarily a guy that's going to always get the KO, although his last fight, he definitely got the arm triangle against Prakniel. If you guys don't remember, hopefully now you do. He's fighting a guy, Rafael Sequeira. If you guys don't remember, he came out, he had some hype around him, and fought Ibo Aslan and got absolutely floored, smashed early. That shit was not even a good fight. It was a bad fight. And I just think A guy like Modestas Bukauskas is going to be able to outpoint him, outstrike him. Maybe he gets him out of there. But I think the kickboxing and the level check, being in the UFC for as long as Bukauskas, 4 fights, and then he was on Cage Warriors, and then did another 4 fights. Man, look at his resume. He's got some good L's on his record, man. Khalil Roundtree's one of them, right? So just go back, look at him. He's a good 205er, big dudes, 603, or excuse me, 6'3", 205. Big guys. Give me Modestas Bukauskas. Leg number, and we'll let the guys react on that after. Leg number 2, we're going with Nursultan Ruziboev fighting a guy coming to make his UFC debut in Eric McConaughey. I've heard about McConaughey. I watched one of his fights. Pressure fighter, likes to go head first. I think it's going to be a problem against Nursultan Ruziboev, who's a very slick stand-up striker. He's got uppercuts and counters from hell. He could definitely put you out with those sharp elbows. And honestly, let's be honest. The UFC wants someone like Ruziboev to keep going, to climb and climb and climb. So this is a good guy you can take on prediction strike for the low. This is a guy that beat Bruno Ferreira by KO, and right after that, Cedricus Dumas, who, you know, kind of looking like a can nowadays. However, put both of those guys out before losing to Joaquin Buckley, who now that's looking like a great loss, right? So give me Ruziboev for leg number 2 on the bus. And to finish the bus and cash us out, give me my favorite fucking guy on this card, Fluffy, Anthony Hernandez. Man, if I bet against this guy, he crushes me. Whenever I bet on him, I make money. I'm going to continue to bet on him. And don't get me wrong, Brendan Allen was on a win streak before he lost to Imavov. However, if you guys can still hear me, the level of competition here is just absolutely day and night. Brendan Allen has not fought anywhere near the competition as Anthony Hernandez has. And Anthony Hernandez doesn't just beat guys and decision them. He fucking knocks them out, chokes them out, takes you down when he needs to. Man, this guy has great wins under his belt. Michel Pereira he beat Roman Kopylov, one of my favorites. Man, give me Fluffy to cash us in on another Mr. Plus parlay bust, going for 4 in a row. What do you guys think?
Let's go. 4 in a row would be unbelievable. This one plus 128. And we got 3 fights to talk about. I'm going to say it from the jump. I like this bus again, man. I'm all aboard it, Slick. First off, Modestas Bukauskas early prelims fight. Yeah, I like what Mr. Plus said about him. You know, he was in the UFC. This is his second run. He fought Khalil Roundtree, and he got his knee stomped out. One of those side stomps to the knee. Took a bad injury. Went to Cage Warriors, recovered himself, came back. He looks much improved since he came back. He's got good lateral movement. He stays busy. And in his last fight with Prachnio, no slouch. That was a good back and forth fight, and he kind of outlasted him in a good one. Prachnio landed that crazy question mark kick against the fence, like one of the craziest counter kicks you'll ever see. Bukauskas ate it, kept going. Really fun fight, and he got the win. I agree with you, Plus. I actually think he can get Cerqueira out of there. Slick, I'm going to put my hand up and admit, I bet on Rafael Cerqueira against Ivo Aslan. Holy shit, that's a really fast way to lose money. Less than 1 minute. Got sparked. I'm completely off him. Hype train derailed. What do you think about Bukauskas here, Slick?
Yeah, I'm just not ready to back Bukauskas at this price tag, man. He's just one of those decision fighters that goes to decision a lot, and he barely wins. Like, against power puncher, he gets knocked out, and against good guys like Prachnio, he goes to a late 3rd round submission. I don't know. I honestly thought if Prachnio was anybody else and that he landed that question mark kick on Bukauskas, he probably would have finished him. Bukauskas was wobbly, didn't I believe he got a takedown afterwards, and that's what saved him from not getting finished. And me personally, I think Cerqueira just isn't good, but I'm just not ready. I'm passing this fight personally. I'm just not betting either one. Bukauskas, I think he deserves to be a favorite, but at minus 350, I just think this is a little bit recency bias on Cerqueira's last fight, getting finished so fast. Ivo Aslan has 3 times more power than Bukauskas in that first round. So at the end of the day, it was just this is just a matter of fact of, like, I remember betting Ivo Aslan in that fight. Cerqueira just doesn't have no head movement. So Bukauskas is able to at least show some power in this fight. He could finish Cerqueira, But I'm just not ready to back up Mukauskis at this price tag. I'm going to pass this fight. And I usually don't pass fights, you know. Might take a shot at the no distance if it's a little good price tag.
Yeah, I think fair assessment there. Definitely fair assessment. But that's, you kind of said it, movement. So Kara doesn't really move. Mukowski is pretty light on his feet and you know, fluid for a guy his size. So I like it. Slick going to pass on it. Plus, we also got to talk about Ruziboev. I mean, plus, before I go to Slick on this, like you said, they gave him a Joaquin Buckley. Like, no shame in going to decision. And Buckley's top 10 now. Buckley just got Colby out of there. He knocked out Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Buckley's legit. Do you think Ruziboev puts this guy away inside the distance? How would you bet him, method-wise?
Yeah, absolutely. I sure do. And I think it's going to be a KO TKO. Absolutely. Body
I
shot,
agree.
body, head, body. You're going to see again if McConaughey's going to be aggressive and rush in, which he probably will. I think you're going to see a beautiful counter by Ruziboev and put him out.
Slick, stylistically, I like that because McConaughey's a southpaw. Ruziboev's got a cracking straight right cross. That kind of stance switch, opposite stances, leaves you susceptible to that punch. So I could see him getting starched with a straight right down the middle. What do you think? McConaughey, MMA lab guy, maybe a little tricky. Jared Cannonier, slick strikers. Does he have a chance here?
I'm just not betting on a guy coming out from cornering one person a week ago and coming on short notice against a guy like Ruziboev. I think guys like Joaquin Buckley are the perfect opportunity to expose Ruziboev because Ruziboev is one of those submission opportunistic guys off his back. He likes to get those Kimura sweeps, get on top, and then just implement any type of submission he wants, or he keeps it on the feet. And the one thing I just didn't like about Ruziboev against Joaquin Buckley was that as the fight went on and the fight was on the feet, he was just becoming a one-trick pony. He was throwing the left jab, uppercut, and Joaquin was just reading that like a book. So, but me personally, I just don't think. I forgot the guy's name honestly, but
McConaughey.
McConaughey, and I just think his head movement isn't that great. I think that Ruziboev is going to be able to get a first round finish in this fight, and if anything, look good doing it. So I'm gonna take Ruziboev.
Yeah, I like it too, man. I like Ruziboev in this one. There's money coming in on McConaughey. He's down to like minus 270. I don't get it. I think 270 is a solid price tag for Ruziboev. The only thing that would trip me up is like opponent switch up, you know, but I think he's got this. Last one, co-main event of the evening. Awesome fight. Mr. Plus going with Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. I mean, as we do that, we might as well segue in, right? I mean, Slick's got to break this fight down. So, ladies and gentlemen, salute to the Slick Report.
Fili in the game, and you know we on time. Slick reports coming, ain't never gonna stop. MMA captains with the knowledge and the flow. From the East Coast, getting that paper like a Philly bankroll. Rocking every fight, keep the audience on hold.
All right, so I switched the game up on you guys. It's the last leg of the parlay bus, but it shares a pick and comment with Slick, who's also got a little two-piece for you. So let's start with the co-main, Slick. Why is Mr. Plus's last leg of his bus and your last leg of your play cashing on Anthony Fluffy Hernandez this week?
This is just me personally. After his last fight against Pereira, I just told myself I'm not betting against this guy until he fights top 5 talent. Like, this is a guy I just believe is in the upper echelons of this weight division. Like, we seen the Izzy's and the Robert Whitakers fall, and we seen the Imivolves, and I believe Anthony Hernandez is the next man up. And we seen this fight already happen, but I'm not even basing it off that fight. Both these guys were real young in that LFA fight. It was a 5-round fight. Anthony Hernandez ended up being, I think he won like 50-45, 49-46. But this is just a spot that I believe Anthony Hernandez is just not going to be even more scared in this spot. He knows what Brendan Allen is going to bring to the table striking-wise. And if it comes to a spot that it's 3 rounds, I'm going to trust a guy that's not going to be on his back foot the whole fight. I know Anthony Hernandez is going to keep the fight moving forward. He's going to implement his grappling. And the one thing that we know about Brendan Allen is, yes, he submitted guys like Andre Muniz and guys like that have good credentials. But the one thing that about all those guys that Anthony Hernandez is not is that their cardio is nowhere near as good as Anthony Hernandez, in the sense that it's going to be scrambles on top of scrambles, and Anthony Hernandez is just going to win those scrambles. Brendan Allen, for me, in this fight, has to knock out Anthony Hernandez, which we haven't seen since 2020 COVID Kevin Holland. And that Kevin Holland you just couldn't bet against. That was the Kevin Holland that we all thought was going to be a champion at one point,
Fighter of the year, 2020 Fighter of the Year.
So, so at the end of the day, I just don't believe Brendan Allen is going to be able to get a knockout in this spot. I think Anthony Hernandez is going to implement his will in this spot. We've seen him do it for 5 rounds against Michel Pereira, having his way. I can only imagine what he's going to do to a guy like Brendan Allen in 3 rounds. I think Brendan Allen, he has to, like I said, knock out Anthony Hernandez or at least win huge moments like big knockdowns and big opportunities in rounds. And we just haven't seen that. We've seen Anthony Hernandez hurt to the body and stuff like that, but that's not really Brendan Allen's game. He's more of a 1-2 type of guy on and he keeps the high guard, and he likes to throw that body kick here and there, but it's not really a huge weapon of his. So I'm not really worried about that. Anthony Hernandez, I just think he's going to implement his will this fight. Probably gets a finish. We've seen in that fight against Imavov, his last fight, Brendan Allen starting to become a on-his-back jiu-jitsu guy. There's one guy that's not going to be scared to go into your guard and implement his will, like I already said, and that's Anthony Hernandez. So, and give me Anthony Hernandez. And me personally, I'm really talking to myself into it. I think he finishes Brendan Allen this spot.
Yeah. His pace is tremendous, bro. Like you guys said, his chin, his cardio, he can just drown you. The scrambles, the relentlessness with his takedowns. His boxing is getting better too. So now he can mix his punches in with his level changes. Like he will drown you. And yeah, like you said, until someone puts him cold to sleep, which I don't think Brendan Allen's that guy, you can't bet against him. Who are you pairing that up with, Slick, for your Slick report to get some better value?
Yeah, we're going to go with Javid Basharat over Ricky Simone in this spot. I just think this is a good bounce back spot for Basharat. We've seen in his last fight, Basharat, for me, only lost that fight because he fought a guy that was more boring than anybody there is in this division. Like, Zahabi is probably the more defensively sound guy, one of the best defensively sound guys in this division. And Javid Basharat was also like a -700 favorite, which I believe I also took Zahabi at. Just at that price tag, it was crazy to me. And Zahabi he's like Kyle Nelson. He knows how to make the fight boring. He knows how to dictate the pace. Ricky Simone is not that type of guy. He's a wrestler first type of guy. He likes to implement relentless wrestling. And the one thing about me is that he's just like in his last fight against Vinicius Oliveira, that I believe Vinicius is way better than Javid. But Ricky Simone was just starting to become a one-trick pony in that spot. He wasn't really implementing combinations. He wasn't really implementing good power punches. He was just throwing left hook, right hook, trying to get to the takedowns. Javid, what we've seen from him in the takedown department, we've seen him have great get-up game. And that's the one thing that deters Ricky Simone. Like the constant wrestling doesn't deter him. It's when he gets the takedowns and then people are able to get up from them, and what Vinicius Oliveira was able to do that deters him. So I think this is a good spot for Javid. Keep the fight on the feet, just outpoint, and I would say frustrate Ricky Simone. Like Ricky Simone is not going to be able to get the takedowns, and if he does, I don't think he's able to control Javid. I think Javid's going to be able to dictate the pace, and I like Javid's uppercut in this spot too. He has a real good uppercut that I was watching in tape, and he starts showing that early. I think Ricky Simone could end up getting landed in one. So I think this is a good spot for Javid Basharat bounce back off that boring Zahabi fight.
Yeah, man. I like the Slick report here. So Slick, first off, confirming for sure. We all love Mr. Plus too, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. And plus, he's going with Javid Basharat for his second leg. I like the matchup for Basharat here too. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look at Simone's last 3 losses. Oliveira, Mario Bautista, and Yadong Song. Not that they're not nobody. These are good names to lose to. But they all got something in common. They're all great strikers. And I think Javid Basharat's got some striking as well. And you know what's even more impressive for me with Javid Basharat? He's got great fight IQ. So this guy knows when he needs to take the fight, where he needs to take it. Can Ricky Simone take him down, hold him, do his thing on top? I don't necessarily think so. I think Javid's pretty damn strong for this division. He's got great sweeps. He can get back up if he does get taken down. And, you're going to have to get through his striking first and foremost to see if you can even land those takedowns. So I'm loving the Slick report. I'm definitely going to be tailing it.
Awesome, man. Check shop around too. Slick got -123 on that. So always use your books, get the best line. And yeah, in the comments, Cal, producer, he says Simone will get desperate in this one. He gets tagged up on the feet. He does. He takes shots on the way in. He tries desperately, but his boxing defense isn't great. He says play Javid round 3 or decision. If you got him out of there in round 3, I'd be pretty impressed. And Slick, that Zahabi fight was razor close. It really came down to like one big moment. Zahabi tagged him with that right hand, busted him up a little bit. That kind of won the round, and that was it. It came down to a punch or so. So no shame in that. Zahabi, very, very good, tricky striker. I like Basharat too. And there you go. Slick report it is. Jewish Better in the comments. He says, Jew Better cashed plus 600 on Zahabi last time out. That's right. Awesome work, guys. Love. So did Don't Tap. Love it, guys. All right. Well, talking plus money in the comments. I want some plus money. It's time for the Dogs of the Week. All right. And honestly, we got another segue right here because this first fight, Mr. Plus called for it. He thinks it's going to be violent. He thinks it very well could be the banger of the night. Plus, banger of the night. You also have the widest underdog of the night, I believe. Maybe not of the whole card, but certainly of our picks. Who you got?
All right, this is going to be a very unpopular pick, and I just want to say that it's a bet. It's not even really the pick. We all know the pick. Okay, it's going to be a bet. This line is crazy wide, and I'm talking about I think this is going to be the banger of the night. Gene Silva versus Melsik Bagdasarian. I can't sleep on Melsik Bagdasarian. I can't just say this guy's a walkover. This is an easy one for Gene Silva because it's not. It's not. Now, granted, Melsik hasn't been very active. He had a couple bouts canceled, a couple fights canceled. We just haven't got to see him in almost 2 years, a year and a half, really, a year and 7 months. Man, there's not a lot of guys that'll take a fight versus Gene Silva nowadays, but this dude is. And Melsik's not just going to roll over and let Gene Silva have his way. I just don't see it. They talk about Gene Silva's pressure. You know who else fights with crazy amounts of pressure and is a fucking chaotic fighter? Melsik Bagdasarian. This dude will walk through fire to get to where he needs to go. And granted, we've seen him wear damage and take damage and face looking crazy, brutally red, and get his hand raised in some of those. So, I mean, I can't just sleep on this. The plus money is calling my name. Got to throw a quarter or a half unit at Melsik Bagdasarian. Am I going to probably bet Gene Silva in some parlays and different methods of victory? Probably. I'm probably going to hit this from a couple different angles, but I cannot sleep on my guy Melsik Bagdasarian. And, you know, I won't be surprised to see Gene Silva shoot and work some of his BJJ and ground game, because I just don't think this is going to be the same stand-up where he's barking in Drew Dober's face. I just don't think that this ain't the guy. That Melsik Bagdasarian ain't the guy. He might even have the speed advantage, Melsik. So we're going to wait and see. I got to hit the plus money on this one, boys. Very unpopular pick. I get it. I know. But I'm throwing at least a quarter or half unit at my guy, Melsik Bagdasarian.
As you said in the comments before, and Jewish Better is as well, Melsik Bagdasarian. I know he's come through for you before, and he's certainly slick. He's pure talent striking. Like, to that point alone, I would agree with the idea that Mr. Plus is putting down. These odds are too wide, right? I mean, Silva, 3-0 in the UFC, all 3 wins by knockout, coming off a doctor stoppage over Drew Dober, a guy that's known for his toughness, brutalized him, fighting nerd, on fire, really what can you say badly about him? So the line is wide. Bagdasarian, like you said, he's been inactive, torn labrum in his shoulder, broken hand, and then pulled out of a couple fights for other undisclosed reasons. 4 fights canceled. 3 of his opponents pulled out of fights. That's 7 canceled fights. Like, we've seen him 3 times since 2021. What do you make of Bagdasarian? You think he can give him a competitive fight here if he's healthy and in good shape?
Damn, man, I just don't know, man. What I've seen from Melsik is that he needs like I understand what Mr. Plus saying, that he is a dog. He does get in the fire, but this is just a fight that he has to keep in kicking range. He's definitely the way better kicker in this spot. One thing I like about him, he does throw that elite kick, and then he throws a blitz right after that. So he's one of those guys that could just implement any type of kick at any moment in this spot. But the one thing that I just disliked about him in the Joshua Kulabau fight was that he's just too hittable. Like, he's one of those guys that he likes to, whenever you cut the corners on him, he likes to just circle the cage. And once you start cutting the corners on him, he does engage in those blitzes. And that's where Gene Silva is going to just accept the blitzes. You know, he's one of those guys that eats one that gives one. And the one thing that we've seen about Silva is that he's an opportunistic type of guy. You know, like, he knows when to read. We've seen in that Jourdain fight, he's seen Jourdain was starting to implement his wrestling, implemented a nice uppercut to lead him off. We've seen in that Weston Wilson fight that he was just not starting to play the grappling game. Saul Wilson was starting to implement his grappling game. He slept him with a 1-2. I just think this is a good spot for Gene Silva to not, but money line wise, he's minus 720 on FanDuel. Like, you have to give yourself an option. Like, I mean, you have to say, when this line is too much, and like maybe you could, like, if he was like minus 400, minus 500, and then maybe you could say it's warranted, but like minus 720. I just think that it's just one of those guys. Like, Kyle Barallo wasn't even getting this much of pushback. Like, I think Kyle Barallo was like minus 450 against Paul Craig, you know. So he's getting a lot of hype. I understand the fighting nerds are getting that love and stuff like that, but man, like, minus 720 on FanDuel. If you want to take a small sprinkle on, instead of keeping Silva in your parlays at minus 720. I just think this is a good spot for Silva, though. Like I said, he's fighting a guy that's not going to implement wrestling. He's going to implement the kickboxing range, and I just think Gene Silva crashes in that distance too good for a guy like Melsik Bagdasarian. So I'll take Silva. I think this fight goes over, though. I think this fight at least makes it to the second or third round, where, like I said, if Silva is implementing his kicking game and we see him keeping distance, it could be, you might get Gene Silva at a better price leading into that second and third round.
Yeah, you could look to bet it live. Cal says in the comments, when you have a favorite whose win condition is mostly KO, if you think it's wide, the line is wide, then the dog isn't your play, then play the over. If he keeps it competitive at least, right? Maybe if you don't think he can win, Plus thinks he can win. But if you think it's competitive, then maybe it goes deep. Slick could see it going deep. I could too, man. You just got to avoid that devastating uppercut. Something about Silva too that makes me a little wary is that he broke both of his hands against Drew Dober and then finished him with elbows. Like, the guy is a fucking savage. So, yeesh. But Plus is brave. Plus is going with Melsik here. And small bet, like he said, he's going to attack a few different angles. I like the shot, man. Brave, courage in your heart. All right, time for my dog of the week. I'm going with an interesting one here. I just got a sneaky hunch. I'm going with Julius Walker at plus 180. He's taking on Alonzo Menafield. I'm just getting the heebie-jeebies a little bit here. Menafield has cashed for me in recent fights. I had him against Jimmy Crute in that one where he put away the sequel with Jimmy Crute. I even had him against Dustin Jacoby, and I couldn't believe that he beat him with striking. He beat the kickboxer with power punches, dropped him a couple times. But I feel like Menafield, when you expect him to win, he loses, and when you expect him to lose, he wins. So people, as a minus 220 favorite, are going to have him here. And I feel like he's going to get beat by the pressure grappler Walker. Making his debut, Menafield was supposed to fight Umar Sy at the end of March. And now he's fighting Walker a month earlier. It just feels like kind of a weird scheduling spot. So Walker's a pressure grappler. Menafield, wild power puncher, swinger. I feel like he can get himself taken down with that exact combo, right? Swings a huge overhand, swing and a miss, end up on your back. I think Walker maybe shows that he's got some real potential. So I'm going to take a shot on it. Exactly. Menafield, Jewish Better says in the comment, Menafield beating Jacoby is a crazy outcome. I feel that maybe just inflated his stock in general and his career trajectory. So I'm taking the shot on Walker, but we'll see. I'll pay to find out. Mr. Plus, you think I'm bugging?
Yeah, you're bugging. I can't sleep on the UFC experience. 14 UFC fights. I don't, yes, you could look at the wins and losses, but he's got 8 wins, 5 losses. That one draw with the Jimmy Crute saga, that was ridiculous. But remember, he got all the wins when they were actually not a draw. He got the wins. Dustin Jacoby W, which was crazy. But those 2 losses aren't even looking bad, man. Azamat Murzakanov, who's going to beat that guy? I want to know who's going to beat that guy. Carlos Olberg, dude, yeah, we saw him lose once, but naturally just a bat out of hell, right, for this division. I don't think so. I don't think you just come into the UFC and start picking off the number 15th ranked guy in the world. Level check here. Alonzo Menafield will take this fight where it needs to go and get the job done.
Fair enough. Andrew Nance in the comments says, I'm tweaking. Slick, what do you have in this fight?
Yeah, I gotta lean Menafield in this spot. What I was thinking from Walker on the regional scene is that he's good with takedowns against the cage, but I think that's where Menafield shines at, is this takedown defense against the cage. I believe Walker, he's not. I just think he's not good, man. He's one of those guys that leans on, being the more relentless guy in there. He's relentless with the takedowns. He has good striking. I mean, I wouldn't say good striking, but he's like, he throws every type of strikes. He throws elbows, he throws knees. He's one of those guys that just has everything in his arsenal. But he's not a good top control type of guy. He averages a lot of takedowns on the regional scene, but that's, like I always say, when you average a lot of takedowns, that means that people are getting back up, So I just believe that Menafield, if he keeps his fight on the feet, it's gonna be him. Julius Walker, what I've seen from on the regional scene is that he's just not gonna have felt any type of power close to anything that if Menafield lands on that chin. So I think this is Menafield, and like Mr. Plus said, a level check. But Julius Walker is definitely a good guy. Like, if he fights in this division, fights guys that can't wrestle and can't out grappled by him. So he could be one to look forward. But man, on short notice, I can't.
Yeah, they're saying I'm bugging, and this is the reason I also like Walker. Jewish Better in the comments. Menafield has the GOAT, Pat Barry, in his corner. I do not like that for Menafield. God, Pat Barry is a curse. So I'm fading Pat Barry, but everyone else is fading me. So God bless. That's where we're at on that one. Slick has a dog of the week. And I guess I kind of let the cat out of the bag because it's in the main event of the evening. Mr. Plus just freestyling in his head right now. Has no idea what he's going to say. Just has bars to spit. But Slick, it's on to you. I spoiled it. Tell me why. You like Triple C in the main event.
Yeah, man. I just gotta feel, like you said, man. I just gotta fill in this spot. Song Yadong for me just hasn't lived up to the hype in the main events that we've seen him. Like, this is a guy I believe that could beat. Like, this fight would have been probably on the fifth fight on the main card. I probably would have leaned him, But when the spotlight is on him, he just doesn't live up to the hype. I believe that he's gonna have the striking edge in this spot. But the one thing that we know about Cejudo, man, is that he's gonna take advantage of people's, their pro. Everybody has pros and cons, and we've seen the cons already from Song Yadong, man. He's be able to counter punch. We've seen Cejudo, not really the counter puncher, but we've seen him, man, to land that same exact hook on Merab that Marlon Moraes landed. That just goes to show you the fight tape that this guy goes through. I believe this is a fighter that he just, he lost to Aljamain Sterling. A lot of people thought that he beat Aljo, in his comeback fight after so many years off. And then the next fight, it was 1-1 with Merab going into that third round at the end of the day, So if make it what you say, Merab did end up winning the fight. But man, Triple C for just being in that type of fight with Merab 1-1 going into the third. I believe that Triple C, he's not going to have the striking edge against a guy like Song Yadong. Song Yadong, he's good in the pocket. He has good combinations, had good power in his strikes. But this division just hasn't really shown the knockout power as of late. Song Yadong, he knocks out guys like Marlon Moraes. And, before that, he knocked out Ricky Simone. After that, he knocked out Ricky Simone, who nowadays is not looking as good. And I'm just not impressed, at the end of the day, you're telling me that he's coming in here off a loss to a guy that primarily a kickboxer in Peter Yan, more of a traditional boxer, out wrestled him in the second and third round. I think Triple C, man, a 5-round fight, I think he's gonna have the cardio. We seen him not slow down against Aljo in that 5-round fight. Aljo was just a better wrestler, better grappler. Aljo is just one of the most underrated wrestlers that we have talked. We talk so much about his grappling, but his wrestling is just so underrated. And then he lost the wrestling bout to Marab. Like, come on now, like, so I think he's gonna have opportunities in this spot. Plus 220 in the main event for Triple C to get a guy that's hasn't lived up to the hype outside of Chris Gutierrez, who he beats. He lost a clear decision against Chito Vera, and somehow the fucking judges gave it to him. And then now he gets, like I said, he's just so acceptable to the counter punches. We've seen it time and time against a guy like Corey Sandhagen, who is a way different type of striker than Henry Cejudo. But we've seen Song Yadong fell in love with the body punches, and that's what ended up getting him caught with a lot of the elbows and a lot of the left hooks that Corey Sandhagen was throwing in his way. So I think Cejudo, like I said, master at film study. At the end of the day, I gotta go with this in this spot, man. Plus 220. Hey, man, give me Henry Cejudo money line.
Wow. Making the case for Triple C. 38 years old, Mr. Plus. The 35 and up at bantamweight's been tough, but like Slick said, close split against Aljo, and then 1-1 going to the third against Marab. I mean, Marab beats everyone right now. What do you think about this line? It does feel wide.
I'm absolutely going to hammer the king of cringe, Triple C. Man, I don't like him in press conferences or any of that, but I definitely like watching him in the octagon. Always have. 2-division champ. I mean, what are we talking about here? Yadong Song hasn't beaten anybody. Bro, I don't even consider that Cheeto win a win, Slick. That doesn't count as a win. Chris Gutierrez, who the fuck? Who is he now? He's nobody anymore. He used to be somebody with the leg kick. Now he's nobody. Yo, Yadong Song, it shows you, look at his record. When it's somebody top tier, Corey Sandhagen, he'll take an L, right? His last fight, he fought Peter Yan, took the L. Anybody that's going to be in a top tier, upper echelon of the division, Triple C being one of those guys, Yadong Song, it's a level check, is taking the L. Keep Song out of all your parlays. It's the last fight of the night, and the dog's going to hit. If you have him in your parlays, perfect opportunity to hedge with a huge plus 220 ticket. However, I'm going to be honest, this is another one. I don't know if this line's going to get worse or much better. Probably worse. If you're looking at the plus money, it's going to go down by the time this fight goes off. I don't think it's going to go up and you're going to get more plus. I think you need to lock this in ASAP.
Wow. All right, fellas, high on Henry Cejudo in the main event. I'm going to zag a little bit. I kind of like Song Yadong in this fight. I agree. Don't go running to put him in your parlays because, like we said, look who Cejudo's losing to. He's former double champion, right? The guy still got it. He's just because he's 38 years old doesn't mean he's just busted and out of shape. He's going to gas, right? 5-round fight. He's got the 5-round experience. But I agree with Cal's sentiment in the comments there. He says his power could be a problem for Triple C. I do think that Song Yadong can get his respect early. He's got good boxing. It's improved. Jewish Better in the comments. Song is still 27. He made his UFC debut when he was 19. He's literally grown up in the octagon. He's only getting better. And I do agree. Gutierrez, Ricky Simone, these guys are not on Cejudo's level. So I'm not really like rating those wins. And for that reason, Yadong minus 275, definitely wide. So I'm staying away. But like Peter Yan loss, I feel like he's a better like MMA wrestler right now. Maybe I'm wrong for saying that because Cejudo's Olympic caliber. But I like Jan's game. Obviously, we all like Jan's game more than Cejudo's, I think. I just think stylistically, if Cejudo isn't keeping him pinned to the mat for 3 rounds, is he really going to outbox him? Is he going to land those big shots like he did each round? I'm not quite sure. Maybe he takes it deep and makes it ugly. Go ahead, Slick.
I will say that, like, outside of 2-3 fights, can we really say that Song Yadong is going to come out there and land good power punches on Henry Cejudo? Like, this is a guy that had some of the best defense against a guy like Dominic Cruz whenever they fought. Like this is a guy that has shown to not even have damage at 38 years old. You know, like this is a guy that you could say that he has been in wars, but they're more grappling oriented. And then, like you said, against like Song Yadong, like he is gonna have the power edge. But the one thing about him that whenever he doesn't implement, whenever he starts throwing and doesn't land, he's just not as good. He's not as good as a guy that could stick on the outside and just jab Triple C altogether, you know, for all 5 rounds. He's more of a in the pocket, land good power punches in the pocket. And I think that's where his demise is going to be, because he has to get close to Henry Cejudo. He can't out jab Henry Cejudo from the outside for 3, 4, 5 rounds. And me personally, I understand what people say about Henry Cejudo and his motivation. But if he beats Song Yadong and Peter Yan fights Marab, and whenever, you could honestly say with the hype and everything, Cejudo is right there.
Yeah.
You know, they got the comeback fight from Sean O'Malley maybe, but Cejudo is right there for championship. And at the end of the day, I think that's what motivates him, knowing like Kobe Covington, you know, like at the end of the day, he looks bad as hell at the end of the day. But what motivates him to keep coming into that cage is knowing that if he beats that one fighter, whoever he comes in there, he's right there for a championship fight. So, hey, man, like I said, at the money line odds, I have to take a small sprinkle.
Go ahead, plus.
I'll see y'all when that shit cashes.
Mic drop there. All right, fellas going with the dog there. Cejudo can't be mad at the take. All right, guys, now it's time to come together. Good debate in the main event, but we're coming all together to lace up and cash a Darce parlay. Let's go. And shout out to everyone in the chat watching live with us right now. Please hit that like button. Appreciate all you guys sticking around. Now we get the group parlay, everyone's favorite part of the show. I guess I'll start it off. I mean, Slick already broke it down in depth, but I like Javid Basharat, guys. That's going to be my leg. We talked about it. Just fluid movement against the forward-moving wrestler, boxer Simone, who's probably just going to get tagged. And Javid Basharat's going to be moving around and steering him away and defending takedowns, getting right back up. And just looking better, just aesthetically looking more just like a calm, good old walk in the park of this fight. So we like Basharat. I like him to win by a unanimous decision. Plus, we already talked about that one. So let's go to your fight, your leg of the Darce. Who do you got?
We also talked about this one as well. You were on the dog side, but I'm going to stick with Alonzo Menafield. I think it's a big level check. A guy with no UFC experience versus a guy with 14 fights under his belt. And like Slick said, up against the cage, in the clinch, wherever there's going to be grappling, and there's going to be a bunch of it in this fight, Menafield's going to have the upper hand. And I don't think that Walker's felt power, like Slick said, like Menafield's power. If he touches him, maybe he could go out. I don't know, but I think he's definitely getting his hand raised. So that'll be leg number 2 of the Darce this week, boys.
If I end up putting that half unit on Walker, I'll be glad to have a play on Menafield in the other one. So going with Menafield in the Darce. And Slick, what's the final leg that'll cash this?
Yeah, we're seeing the over 2.5, and I said over 2.5, the over 4.5 in the main event. Like I said, I just don't believe Song is going to finish Cejudo. I think Cejudo is more of a top control type of guy. If he gets Song Yadong, he's going to stay on top, probably last 2-3 minutes on top, kill rounds. I think this fight goes to decision more often than not. Give me the over 4.5 in the main event.
Yeah, definitely see this one going deep. Plus, how do you see this fight?
Yeah, love that. Cejudo by lay and pray and weird ground and pound that never really does damage, but absolutely control time, being on top. Like Slick just said, 3-4 minutes. I could see a 4-minute round where he's just laying on top, adjusting his position on the ground. Maybe he'll go from guard to half guard to posturing up and then just laying back down on him. And a couple of these, nothing crazy, but definitely winning by decision.
There you go. So we like it to go distance. Jewish better pleading with me not to bet on Walker. Don't do it. He sucks. He said, all right, fine. I'll do this. Instead of betting him money line, I'll sprinkle a quarter unit on the submission. There you go. I'm not going to bet on him to outpoint him. I'll just bet on the moment. All right, guys. Only a few fights left to talk about. It's time for the honorable mentions. First fight of the night, widest odds of the night. Mansour Abdul. It's not first fight of the night. first fight to talk about in honorables. Mansour Abdul Malik minus 1050, taking on Nick Klein plus 600. Slick. Holy shit. I mean, Abdul Malik looks medicine. Got crazy stature, his frame, his pressure. He looks like the real deal, and he's only getting better. But Klein got a submission win on the Contender Series as a dog. This guy has definitely got that dog in him. He just looks scrappy. Looks like a junkyard dog. Is 600 worth the shot here?
I actually remember betting this guy as a dog in that fight, and I was just surprised as any for him to get that crazy rear naked choke. But man, he's just hittable on the feet. I think Abdul could probably. I'm gonna look at the under 60-second prop.
Oh,
I think I haven't bet that fight since I think Robelis de Spain whenever he fought fucking I forgot his name, but I think Abdul, all he needs is either one takedown or one hit, and man, Nick Klein is just as hittable as his come. He's more of a skinny type of guy also. Mansour, if he lands one, I think he puts him out. So, hey, man, under 60-second, Mansour Abdul.
Mr. Plus, looking for what I call the Nicolas Cage play, gone in 60 seconds. By the way, Josh Parisian against Robelis de Spain. That's who it was. Mr. Plus, is Abdul Malik just mauling him?
Yeah, I'm not sure it'll be in 60 seconds. But this isn't one where you take a shot at the dog. I think Nick Klein's stock is up because he did get that rear naked choke submission on the Contender Series, meaning if this is a regular line, I mean, Abdul Malik should probably be minus 2,000 in this spot. He's got lightning in his hands, bro. If he touches your chin, you might usually go out here. So, Nick Klein, I was impressed with that win too, Slick, and I was on the wrong side of it, but I think he's in for hell on this. This is a bad fight. I don't think he should have took this fight.
Yeah. Tough sled in the head. Ibo Aslan up to minus 180 now against Jan Kutelaba plus 150. Guys, I liked Aslan at minus 155. Like I said, I bet on Cerquera in his last fight, and holy shit. So I'm just jumping on the other side because I underrated Aslan. I overrated Cerquera. Now I'm going to properly rate Aslan. This is a step up, though. Kutalaba has way more experience than a Mr. Plus. He's got 17 fights to Aslan's, 2? And Aslan has fatigued later on in fights before. We saw against Anton Turkali. It was a back-and-forth fight. So, I mean, do you think he can get through Kutalaba easy here, or what's the deal?
I mean, I've been betting against this Ibo Aslan guy since he started, since he came out. Bet against him on Contender Series, bet against him when he refought Turkali, thinking Turkali's going to beat him again. And like you, took him the last. Rafael Cerquera ate my money on the last fight. I'm not ready to jump on the Ibo Aslan trend. As a matter of fact, I think this is too much hype. And I think this is another huge level check on the card. And don't get me wrong, Ian Kutelaba could gas out in a round and a half. This dude wants war in the first round. However, when he gets there and he puts that war on, and I think a guy like Ibo Aslan's a perfect guy to do it to, the pressure, the war, I think Ibo's going to be in trouble. Unless he lands that one counter knockout punch, I think we're going to see a veteran in Ian Kutelaba take this fight and beat a guy like Ibo Aslan.
Slick, if Kutelaba gets top position and starts raining down elbows, I'll be scared for my Aslan bet that I got at minus 155. But I feel like he'll close as a big favorite. What do you think? You think he damages Kutelaba, or is he going to get level checked?
This is just a fight that, man, I wish I would have got on Aslan early. But I honestly, I'm going to say this right now, right? I'm not trying to say that, but I really think Mr. Plus has Ibo Arslan and Ibo Aslan confused. Because I remember
Ivan Arslan. Ivan Arslan.
I remember when we was in UFC. I was in UFC Atlantic City, and that's where Ibo Aslan fought Anton Turkali. And he told me, he was like, "Bro, I bet Ibo Aslan round 3 KO," and it ended up cashing. And I was like, "Bro, we was both on Ibo Aslan," and he was like, "Bro, we just made so much money on Ibo." So I honestly think, because both these guys are fighting Ian Kutelaba, the way and then it's funny because Ian Kutelaba fought Ivan Arslan his last fight, and then now he's fighting Ibo Aslan his next
Confusing.
fight.
Very confusing.
So I really think Mr. Plus had them a little bit confused because Ibo Aslan has been cashing for us the last couple fights, man. I had
Arslan. I'm taking Ian Kutalaba. I'm telling you that now.
like,
And I hope he fucking paints his face for the weigh-in. I know who he is.
You know he is. God paints his face for every fucking fight. At the end of the day, Ian Kutalaba is just one of those guys, man, that whenever he gets his way, he looks good. But whenever he doesn't, he just looks mediocre. Like, whenever he's able to get the takedowns, he looks great. But whenever he's not, he becomes a one-trick pony. Like I said, Ricky Simone earlier, he starts throwing left and right hooks. And he's not one of those guys that ends up being, but we just seen him in his last fight, have against Ivan Erslan, and we seen him have good cardio. He stood there for all 3 rounds. Me personally, I just think Ivo Aslan, he carries his power for all 3 rounds, and I just think that he's gonna be able to inflict damage on a guy that doesn't move his head at all. And Ian Kutalaba, he sometimes moves his heads for jabs, but not for hooks. I don't understand why, but that's what I've seen from tape. So I think this is a good spot for Ivo Aslan, but I'm just not liking the price tag. So probably take him by like round 3 or decision type of fight.
Maybe we did take Aslan in that Turkali fight. You know what they say about short-term memory loss.
He said he's on the.
I remember. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Wait, what? Yeah.
That's why I'm like, bro, we faded Ivan Erslan his last fight, and we was on Aslan his last fight. So it was like, bro, like, he probably got them mixed up.
Bro, like, hard to remember all the bets.
Yeah, it's a freaking riddle. My head is gonna explode. Fellas, we have one more fight to talk about. Let's do it. See if we can get out of here in under an hour. It's the last fight because it's an awesome fight, and it's one that we're still getting. It was supposed to be Rob Font versus Dominic Cruz, who was my first favorite fighter when I became a true fan of the UFC. I love Cruzy, but he separates his shoulder again. He has to retire due to injuries. Respect, great career. And Rob Font needs a new opponent. Enter Gene Matsumoto, a prospect that all of us have really been watching and enjoying fight. I love the kid, man. Kid's a stud. But he's minus 180 against Rob Font. Font's fucking good, man. Plus 150, Mr. Plus. Are you going to take a shot on Rob Font?
Absolutely, bro. Who is Gene Matsumoto? Beat Brad Katona. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Most awkward fighter in the UFC. Weirdest guy I've ever seen, that guy, Brad Katona. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Rob Font, a guy who has 18 fights under his belt in the UFC and a winning record. His only losses are to some of the best names you've ever fucking heard of in this division. I'll name a few. Corey Sandhagen, Davison Figueiredo, Jose Aldo. Come on, bro. Jose, however you want to say. I always say Jose. Guys, this is a level check. Again, there's a few of them on this card. Your wins are against Dan Argueta and Brad Katona. That's nobody. This is such a step up for Gene Matsumoto. And I am loving that we are getting plus money on Rob Font. This is one of those cards. I'm going to be betting 3 or 4 or 5 dogs straight, and I might even parlay 3 of them for like a plus 1,500, and it's probably going to hit. Rob Font's definitely going to be one of those legs. So, take that plus money. That's the lock of the card right there.
I'm a huge Gene Matsumoto fan. I really like this kid, Slick, and I want him to succeed. He's slick with it. He's got good power. He's got really good jiu-jitsu. His defensive grappling is also really good. Nasty low kicks. He's young. He's getting better in every area. He's got a nice squeeze on his chokeholds. I like so many things about him. He's tough. He showed that he can come back and go through adversity. But Mr. Plus said it. He's fought Dan Argueta and Brad Katona. And now he's almost a 2-1 favorite against Rob Font. Font's jab alone is the best weapon in this fight. I'm almost forced to take Font for that alone. I think he can control the dance with his experience and his jab. What do you think, Slick?
Yeah, man, I definitely got to take a little small sprinkle on Font in this spot. I definitely think Gene Matsumoto he's one of those guys that he's going to have high hopes. But, man, like you said, the only thing that you have to be concerned about at the end of the day is if Gene Matsumoto becomes like the Tom Nolans of the group. Actually has a game plan against a guy that has 0 takedown defense and Rob Font. Like, we seen Tom Nolan not even shoot takedowns, but against Slava Claus, he like, fuck it, I'm gonna start shooting some because this guy can't stuff a takedown for nothing. So I think if Gene Matsumoto has any type of game plan, he comes out here with a wrestling heavy game plan. But I just don't think that's in his arsenal. You know, I think that Rob Font, 3 rounds, especially Rob Font was already built. Was already built for this. Was already training for this exact card, so he has a full training camp under his belt. I have to go with Rob Font in this spot. Plus 150, I see it. Give me Rob Font.
I agree, man. Matsumoto's going to become like a pure double leg wrestler? It's not really his game. So, yeah, Sandhagen held him down for 5 rounds with a torn tricep. Guess what? Corey Sandhagen's really good. All right. So it doesn't just mean that anyone could just ragdoll Rob Font. Plus 150, we're taking the shot, fellas. I like that you guys confirmed it. Oh, yeah, Austin Vanderford just got signed. And I think he's on this card. Slick, you mentioned that in the pre-show. Paige Van Zant's husband. That's a win in life. She's hot. That's cool. Who's he fighting? What's up with him as a fighter? I know he's a wrestler. What do you think of him?
I've been fading this guy ever since I've known about him. Like, he's a wrestler, crotch sniffer, some of the best that we've seen in wrestling. But like, bro, he's not good. He has no striking. He's Khabib like on the feet, and he's fighting a guy Nikolai Veritin Nikiov. There you go.
He did it.
But I gotta fade him in this spot, bro. Like, I've been fading him. He's coming off from Bellator. He's probably been fucking Paige Van Zant 2 days ago, and now he's fighting in the UFC. Get the fuck out of here, man. I'm done, man. Like, I remember betting Aaron Jeffrey with the mullet against him. His bum ass. Like, the fuck out of here, bro.
Wow.
The UFC probably only signed him because Paige Van Zant might walk out with him. The guy is fucking horrible, man.
Wow.
Like, he couldn't do nothing in Bellator. Now you're coming in here saying that he's going to come do something in the UFC. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
I've never seen Slick dog a fighter so hard. Wow.
Not a trash, bro.
Not UFC caliber. Plus, what do you think? Vanderford versus
that was painful, man. Damn, Slick. Oh shit. We just learned about this fight as we were entering the podcast, so I don't really have a read on it or anything like that. I will say, looking at the Tapology, 5-2 in the Bellator is not bad, and your only 2 losses to Aaron Jeffrey and Gerard Mousasi. Those are both good fighters in the Bellator. I'm just throwing it out there. 1-0 LFA, 1-0 in Contender when he was there. I don't know yet. I'm not ready to write off Vanderford yet. However, I will say when we saw Nikolai Veretennikov in his last fight against Danny Barlow, who we all thought left-handed God was just going to absolutely starch him, he looked good. Took it to a split decision for his first fight in UFC. That's definitely not a bad look. So I'm on the fence. I don't have a pick yet. I will, I'm sure. I think I want to bet this one once we start it up and the actual card drops. But I do like the idea of it says he's now fighting out of Coconut Creek, the Vanderford. So maybe you move to American Top Team. Good camp, good gym to be at. A lot of winners there. Not ready to just write him off yet, Slick. I don't know.
I will say that getting finished by Aaron Jeffrey, who has went to 85% of his fights to decision,
that's true,
is bad. Gegard
I just said that the name wasn't bad.
Gegard Mousasi, 38 years old, and finished him. Like, you're done. You're done.
You're done.
Nasty.
Also, 585, my guy in the comments says some UFC math for you guys. Name ends in OV or EV. There's an 86.2% chance of winning. That's real verified math from my guy. All right, man. We did the damn thing. UFC Seattle. Okay, let's just go to whatever. It's a city. We'll go there. We'll fight there. Let's punch each other in the face. That's Slick Montana. That's Mr. Plus Money. There's Cal on the 1s and 2s in the background. I'm Danny Brasco. This is the Darce Podcast. Guys, hit the like button on your way out. Be sure to subscribe and fire away in the comments. Let us know what you're betting on, what takes you like from this week's episode. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you for some more bets next week. Peace!
Jasmine Jasnovizius here. Don't forget to tap into the ARCE podcast.
The ARCE choke is a submission executed from the front headlock position. It involves encircling the opponent's neck with the crook of one's arm, while the other arm wraps around the opponent's arm, applying pressure, leading to a tap or unconsciousness.
Tap into the ARCE podcast.